Okay, it is 1 o'clock, so we will get started. Today we have Katie Graham, and she is from the Office of Career and Technical Education. So she'll be here today visiting with us. We're going to start off with a couple polls like we usually do, and hopefully we'll get a few more people hopping on as we get going. So Stan, if you want to. Okay, so number one is on a scale of 1 to 5, how familiar are you with this program? So with the Career and Technical Education program. You want to answer that on your screen? Okay, so we don't have any experts out there. Quite a few that don't know anything about your program. So this will be a good one, I think, for people to learn. And then our next one is just where people are located. So Greater Lincoln is your Lancaster and Saunders County. Greater Omaha is Douglas, Sarpy, and Washington. Greater Nebraska would be the remaining 88 counties outside of there, or if you work in multiple areas, or if you're a statewide program. Go ahead and answer that one. Usually we have a pretty good breakout of those, so we'll see. So this time a little more in Greater Nebraska, but still a good representation from across the state. So we will let Katie get started. If you have questions, you can either go under the chat or you can go under the Q&A, and we will keep an eye on those and answer those questions for you. All right, Katie.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jody. I'm excited to be here today, especially seeing those poll results. Definitely have an opportunity to introduce you all to a program that we definitely want to make you aware of. So with that, as she mentioned, I am Katie Graham. I have the great privilege of serving as the State Director for Career and Technical Education, which lives in the Nebraska Department of Education. I always like to start off my presentations, especially with this opportunity, with the mission of the Nebraska Department of Ed. As you can see here on the screen, it's to lead and support the preparation of all Nebraskans for learning, earning, and living. And I think with our related work, given this group, hopefully you all can see yourself within that mission and your programs within that mission. To set some context, I thought it would be helpful to show a little bit of the landscape of the education distribution across the state. We have 244 school districts in Nebraska, which represent, as you can see here, 328,721 pre-kindergarten through 12th grade students. And we have a little over 24,000 teachers. For career and technical education, we also serve the 6 community colleges in the state and the Nebraska College for Technical Agriculture, which is out in Curtis, Nebraska. When we set and make policy, and when we think about laws like Perkins, which is our federal funding source in law for career and technical education, we really have to consider all students. This includes our largest district, which is Omaha Public Schools, as you can see, which serves over 51,000 students, to our smallest school district, which K-12 serves only 52 students. So systems within those different types of school districts certainly have an impact on the programming that is available and offered to students. Might not also surprise you within your programs that it's the same in education. We have a very strong tradition of local control. So school districts have a lot of control to determine what happens in their district, and as little as possible comes down from the state or the federal government. So we're talking about career and technical education. I want to share that in WIOA, it really emphasizes a greater coordination between workforce development and career and technical education. And the reason for that, certainly, as the students are on this pipeline, right, of education and workforce preparation, and through their career pathway, education, they're on and off in different places to further their career. So we do this by trying to align things like definitions, thinking about the requirement within WIOA that requires post-secondary career and technical education programs to be a partner of state and local one-stop center systems. So lots of different opportunities. We also have the opportunity to be a part of a combined state plan. So far to date, I don't think we've done that, but we are certain to align as much as possible in our career and technical education Perkins state plan as is in the WIOA plan. We're also fortunate that vocational rehabilitation and adult education in Nebraska all live at the Department of Ed. So we're in close contact regularly with other partners who work across workforce preparation and education. I thought it would be helpful if I stopped talking for a second and showed a very quick video that describes what career and technical education is. So with that, I will play. I'm hoping sound works.
Everyone wants kids to be ready to take on the real world, right? So what's the secret? Say hello to CTE. CTE is Career Technical Education. Maybe you've never heard of it, but CTE gives learners an academic foundation along with technical skills and hands-on experience in a whole bunch of different areas to help them get ready for the real world. Think of CTE as a high school experience, but with even more value because it fills a big gap for a lot of students. In fact, CTE learners and their parents are 3 times as likely to say they're very satisfied with the ability to learn real-world skills as part of their education as compared to non-CTE learners and their parents. And since over 75% of CTE learners enroll in post-secondary education after high school, CTE is definitely creating a path to college and career success. And get this, they have a graduation rate over 10% higher than non-CTE students. Did you know 89% of parents think students should receive more education about career choices while in high school? That's where CTE comes in. Think about it. Is it better to experiment with career choices when you're paying money to do so in college? Or should it happen in high school so students know a lot earlier whether a career option is the right fit? The answer is fairly obvious, don't you think? Now let's talk about why CTE is good for business and industry. It's pretty simple. Companies want skilled employees, and they're having a hard time finding them, which can cost a company money in lost productivity. Enter CTE. 6 of the 10 hardest to fill positions are in technical fields or require a CTE background. In fact, about half of all CTE learners are enrolled in programs in leading fields such as healthcare, STEM, and information technology, matching employer needs with student passions. CTE programs directly connect learners in high school and post-secondary with employers through internships, apprenticeships, and other meaningful on-the-job experiences. When it comes to CTE, more than twice as many CTE parents report being satisfied with internship opportunities. That means a lot of doors are being opened for kids. So here's the bottom line. Parents want their kids to find a career they can be passionate about. Kids want the same thing. And when you think about the real world, what could be better than having learners enter a field they know is right for them with a ton of hands-on experience? It's all possible thanks to CTE. CTE, learning that works for America. To learn more, visit careertech.org.
All right. Nope, I'm not going to watch it again. There we go. So in Nebraska, we deliver career and technical education through what we like to call, what you can see here is the career education model, where we, and hopefully you've seen this poster before, hopefully it's well infused and this is where it comes from. We try to bridge that language gap and try to articulate what the world of work is to students as we work through career development opportunities in middle and high school, even early elementary school. And we do that through this model where we have 6 different what we call career fields represented. And then within those career fields, all of the different what we call career clusters, which represent the world of work and how different occupations can be grouped together to start having a really great conversation about their hopes, dreams, passions, skills, talents, and how that aligns with education in the workforce. When we take this model, we break it down into programs of study. And at the high school level, this represents a sequence of courses. So here's an example on the screen. This would be in our information technology cluster. This particular program of study would be on data analytics and management. So you can see at the state level, we provide program of study guidance. We call these state model programs. So schools have the option to adopt and implement any of these that they see fit. We help by sequencing the courses. We work closely with business and industry and educators to make sure the right content is included in each of these courses, which we then develop standards for. So we try to help identify the knowledge and skills, dispositions, things that would be needed to have students seamlessly transition into a post-secondary program, be it a certificate, some sort of credential, a 2-year or a 4-year degree, without having to duplicate content, and make sure that they're able to get deep into the content and not just kind of keep exploring, but really get into the weeds to see if these might be opportunities for a future career field. Also, really strongly embedded within career and technical education is Nebraska workplace experiences. We hear a lot about internships and apprenticeships, and those certainly are part of this. We like to say that work-based learning, the furthest category over here on the continuum, is not simply learning about work, which would be learning awareness strategies and exploration strategies, but it would be learning through work. So getting those hands-on experiences so students can create meaning in the context of a real work and applied setting. So through our programs, especially within at the high school level, we have different opportunities and try to encourage schools and help them create programs where students are at the workplace as much as possible. Earlier in education, certainly you'll see here some of those different activities would include things like career fairs, business tours, job shadowing, all great opportunities. And we're hopeful that all students by the time they leave high school have had opportunities in each one of these areas across the continuum. So it sets them up for a really great direction. They know what sort of education they'll need after high school for the career of their choice. So I mentioned those 6 different career fields and the programs of study, those sequences of courses. This is a breakdown of the number of school districts that are offering those full programs, that full sequence of course in each of the different areas. Again, there are 244 school districts in the state. You can see that 187 of those school districts offer full programs of study in business, marketing, and management, while we only have 51 school districts in the state offering programs in health sciences. So if you're ever interested in what your local school district or area, what programs are being offered, please reach out. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction. From the federal side, the federal investment in career ed is through the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, which was just reauthorized in 2018. And that reauthorized the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act, which is where we get Perkins from. You may have heard that before. We're currently on the 5th iteration of the law, nothing new. Nebraska receives just over $8 million annually. That number is based on our state's population, so we're always one of the lowest appropriations from the law. But Perkins has represented for the longest time the primary funding source in Nebraska for career and technical education. Recipients of these funds include public school districts or groups of school districts that group together, we call consortia. And as I mentioned, the 6 community colleges and the Nebraska College for Technical Agriculture. The grant is not an entitlement, so we at the state level, as well as school districts and colleges, have a lot of requirements that have to be met, eligibility and performance to continue to receive these funds. But we're really fortunate to have, I think, all but maybe 5 school districts in the state choosing to participate and have continued to meet those eligibility requirements. Probably because of that and a lot of other great outcomes and momentum, we saw for the first time this past legislative season, the state appropriate funds to career and technical education. I used to lead with the slide with this picture up here, which showed that Nebraska was the only state in the country that didn't appropriate state funds for career and technical education. But that was changed this past legislative season with LB 610, which was rolled into the appropriations bill. As you can see here, appropriated just over $5 million to support CTE at both the secondary and post-secondary levels, as well as $200,000 to support our student organizations. These are intracurricular expanded learning opportunities. So they take what's in the classroom and what's learned and then apply them through leadership and competitive events through 7 different organizations that you see here. Hopefully these sound familiar: DECA, Educators Rising, FBLA, HOSA, FCCLA, FFA, and Skills USA. And each of those are aligned with one of those career fields mentioned earlier. So what does it look like? Last year, we had just over 123,000 students, grades 7 through 12, take at least one CTE course in the state. And we had over 21,000 students participating in those 7 career and technical student organizations. These organizations have membership and activities both at the local school level, regional level, and each year we have state leadership conferences where students come and compete and win top honors in the state, which then make them eligible to compete at the national level. From an outcome perspective, and it was mentioned in the video, amongst all learner groups, those who take and concentrate in different areas within career and technical education consistently have higher graduation rates. And this is true especially for different subcategories of students, as you can see here. Students with disabilities, 79% of students with disabilities who concentrate in CTE graduated, compared to only 66% of students with disabilities who did not participate in career and technical education. And you can see as well for female students and non-white students. After the programs in high school end, we are held accountable to where students end up and make sure they're placed either in further education or the workforce. And you can see here that 85% of those students who concentrate in CTE do go on to some form of advanced training or post-secondary education, military or employed. Most of them go on to post-secondary education in Nebraska, 83% of that 85%. And you can see the split here. Most of them are going on to 4-year colleges. Some are employed, about 14%, and then a few are joining the military. At the post-secondary level, our community college career and technical education programs, we had just over 29,000 students participate last year. And of those who completed a program, as you can see the definition there, almost 14,000 in the technical field. A couple of years ago, we were fortunate to work with the Institute of Education Sciences through our regional education lab to do a real deep dive into the value and benefit of career and technical education. And you can see some of the highlighted outcomes that they were able to find here, along with graduation rate. We know that students who concentrate in career and technical education enroll in post-secondary education quicker and earn some form of credential or certificate or certification than their counterparts who don't. So we like to think we give them a leg up. They're quicker out of the gate because they're well informed with career development and understanding of the worlds of work and how education connects to work and what different opportunities and options are. So wanted to leave, especially for those who weren't aware of career and technical education, what the number one obstacle is that prevents students. You might be thinking, why wouldn't everybody take career and technical education courses? This sounds like a wonderful opportunity. The number one reason why students may not, I can't interact with you all here, but it's usually just a lack of awareness. So I, again, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today, not only from the Nebraska Department of Education, but perhaps if you're a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent who has students, please encourage them to consider taking career and technical education courses. They're offered in every school district in the state, courses. Not every program is offered in every district, but every district is offering at least one CTE course, and hopefully also has an opportunity for those career and technical education student organizations. Next biggest barriers, lack of CTE teachers, and certainly we're always looking for additional resources and capacity. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We are always appreciative of the collaboration we have with other workforce partners in the state and the pipeline, and making sure our Nebraskans not only are prepared, but stay in our state and know how to continue along their career pathway. So with that, I'll take any questions.
I don't see any yet, but we'll give everybody a minute or two, see if anything pops up.
Always feel free to reach out. I'm easy to find at the department. We'd love to partner and collaborate any way possible.
Kind of a quiet group today. Oh, I got a beautiful presentation. A lot of work went into that. Great job.
Thank you.
Got to thank you, and yay for Nebraska VR.
Yay, that is it. Yes, I second that.
Okay. And somebody said they love the career clusters poster.
Great. Yes, if
We
you ever
got a
need
question.
me, please let us know.
Would it be something a school can set up, or is this something you go to a school board or DHHS office for?
Great question. So definitely the school would probably be the easiest place to start. All of these CTE courses on a transcript would show up as like an elective. So just like any other elective, the school would be able to choose what they implement. Now they may need board support, especially some of our programs require industry grade equipment or specific facilities to carry out. I'm thinking our automotive programs, our welding programs, even our health science programs. So I imagine it would be a partnership, ideally between the school and their board, as well as the community and local business partners to help set up a program and certainly find those instructors who could teach the courses.
Okay, that looks like that is it for questions. So thank you everyone for joining us. Our next one is July 19th, and it'll be JVSG, which is a Jobs for Veteran State Grants. We have one more question. Can a nonprofit start this in the community?
A nonprofit could certainly be a part of it, but I know from the education side, thinking about the education endorsements that would need to be held to teach the courses so the students would get academic credit for the courses, probably wouldn't be something a nonprofit could do alone. Certainly the federal funding source is only available to public agencies, so public school districts, as well as community colleges and tribal schools and colleges.
Excuse me, I got another one. Do you help students with disabilities such as autism and ADHD?
Fantastic question. So the students who participate in career and technical education we would hope would be every other student. Every student that would walk through a school doors would especially include students with disabilities. So we've had a great partnership, and I've been fortunate to partner with Nebraska VR as well as our Office of Special Education over the past year on a project called CTE Without Limits, which was specifically designed to develop state guidance and partnerships to ensure students with disabilities had opportunities to participate in these high quality programs. So we are actively working on making sure resources and opportunities are made available so all students, especially and including those with disabilities, can participate in CTE. We see a lot of alignment and overlap with the goals of all of these programs. Thank you. That's a great question. Thank you for that.
And Rich put the VR page in there. I know just in our office, a lot of our VR staff spend a lot of their year within the school system. So
I dropped my email into the chat as well. If anybody would like further information, I'd be happy to chat.
Perfect. Okay, I think that is all the questions. I said that a couple times. I think we are good. Thank you so much for joining us today, Katie.
Thank you all so much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.